There was this guy, Mark. He was always tired, but he couldn't sleep right. He felt like someone was watching him, even when he was alone. People told him it was just his mind playing tricks, but he didn't believe them. To prove it, he put a camera in his room, pointed at his bed, and recorded himself sleeping. Every morning, he'd watch the video, looking for anything strange. Most of the time, it was just him tossing and turning. One night, though, something was different. He was watching the video, and there he was, sleeping. But in the doorway, there was another him. Not moving, just standing there, staring at the sleeping Mark. It was like a perfect copy, a double. Mark was scared. He printed out pictures of the double, trying to figure out what it was. Was it a ghost? Some kind of weird trick? He locked all his doors and windows, but he still felt like he was being watched. He watched the video again and again. The double never moved, never blinked. It just stood there, watching. Mark started to think maybe it wasn't watching him sleep. Maybe it was waiting for him to sleep. One night, he decided he wouldn't sleep. He sat on his bed, holding a knife, watching the doorway. He was so scared, he could hear his own heart beating. Then, he heard a sound. A little scrape, like something was sliding across the floor. He looked at the camera screen. There he was, sitting on the bed, wide awake. He looked back at the doorway. The double was there. Not on the screen, but in the actual doorway. It walked into the room, slow and quiet. Mark held up the knife, but the double just kept coming. Mark tried to stab it, but the knife went right through it, like it was made of air. He looked back at the camera. He was asleep in the video, and the double was gone from the doorway in the video. He looked back at the doorway in his room, empty. Then he looked at the video again. The double was now in the video, standing next to the sleeping Mark. It looked right at the camera, right at Mark. And then, in a voice that sounded like Mark's, but all wrong, the double said, "You're not the one who's awake." Then, the double in the doorway just faded away. Mark screamed, but nobody heard him. The camera screen flickered, then showed the video again. Mark was asleep, and the double was standing over him, smiling. That's the last anyone ever saw of Mark.